I'm Rexford Godfrey. My connection to Southwark is because when I decided to change my career, I chose housing and I made an application from what I call my apprenticeship from Elim Council. I came to Southwark and I got the job. So
As apprentices?
no,
What?
it was a full-time job.
Yeah, as what? What were you?
Housing officer.
Housing officer.
In housing.
Sure.
And whilst I was there, because originally I was raised over in northwest London, Wembley, Kensal Rise, Wilson, and I figured, well, I have to move over here because the journey back and forth is going to kill me.
Yeah.
So I started my career in housing after I did my training. Something happened to me and I thought I need to do something because of my spirituality and my upbringing. It's somewhere in here that you have to get back. And I thought, let me go and work with the young people. I had no idea how and with whom. And I was on the reception in Bournemouth Road, which is where I started out.
Yes.
And I was going through the local newspaper and I saw an advert for youth work. And it was dull to me because I'm tired of going home and just doing my head in.
Yes.
Let me go and work with the young people. And that's how I grew into Southwark, because with the youth work I did a lot of other community work, as I said, in the dance area and with the elderly people. I'll come on to that, how we've got a connection here. And then, you know, I grew and I moved on and I moved out the borough to work because of progression.
Can I ask you what community centres you worked with? Or
I started out with the Carib Youth and Community Association, and perhaps...
Where was that? Where was that?
It's in Peckham.
Peckham.
It started out, well, out of somebody's house due for the lack of places for the young people to go to. This is my brief understanding. And then it was the school up there on Bellenden Road.
Bellenden School.
We got chucked out of there. I'm sorry to be so strong about it, because when history is told, people need to understand. And we moved down to Ben Hill Road, which I tried to establish a proper centre for the benefit of young people. I purposely didn't want to focus on sports and all of that. Category of what they call community work, coming from a non-black perspective. So, because the Caribbean Youth Club is all about sport and education, so we do have football, we have netball, but that subsided because I think young girls didn't want to do it. But I focus more on the education and the development of the young people. And if I get passionate about it, because I am about young people, they're not bad. Situation made them have to defend themselves. And unfortunately, if you're going to survive, you're going to come across other people that will bring anger to you, but because these young people are not developed, they're going to retaliate with anger. And we try to cut that out by the policies that we had in the youth club. We never had fights in there, and by that time I'd gotten into them, that they know me very well, even though you were saying, oh, you know, it's been on to you. And sometimes you feel, you know how to feel, oh God, you know what's happening. And it's not that, because they remember how kind you were to them, and most of all, you treat them like a human being. None of these young people are as worthless as the system will have you believe. They're very talented, They're very creative, but there's a lack inside of them. And somehow the system weren't able to provide that. They tried to feed them the wrong nourishment, which doesn't really prepare them or grow them up to think for themselves and to acquire that need that they all have. None of them want to be worthless. None of them don't want to be out there killing each other. It's just situation. And then, of course, as everybody knows, the legal system don't really treat them properly, because most young people that goes into the magistrate's court, the justice that they get can be seen to be unfair, because a lot of young black boys were put inside when their counterparts weren't. So to me, I found that to be very harsh, because right there you put a chain on their legs. They're not going to be able to progress. Criminal record, stigmatism, all of that. But I will always maintain our young people are not as bad as people made them out to be. They're angry.
Can I ask you what period you were working at the...
1991, when I came into Southwark. And I'm still with them. I work with them. And then in between that, I work with the dance company. And then...
This is the Carl Campbell dance?
Yeah, Elim House, or Elim House.
What's your relationship to Elim? How did you come to be here?
I'm one of the board members. Whilst working with the young people, because Mr. Graham is, well, if you read his record, he's a true and true community guy.
Yeah.
And through him, I was encouraged to come on the board. And I said, I'll only come if I can learn from my elders. But if they're going to be this argumentative group like I see all around Southwark, bigging up themselves, I wouldn't do it. But I came in and I picked up and I learned a lot. So that's how my involvement is still here, and it still is. Because as somebody with Caribbean descent, I know what our culture and our traditions are. We have to, we must, and we do value our elders. We don't abandon them. We're there for them. We give them mental supports, physical, financial even. But a lot of that has been blown away. And it's because the world is changing, and the capitalistic views is coming into our culture, where we think money this, money that, but it don't work that way. So I work with the elderly, and indeed when I left Southwark and I moved to in another area of housing, I was working with the vulnerable and the elderly, and again I was so much at home. I used to create activities for them and bring in theatre groups to entertain them, because it was like a sheltered unit, but they were fully independent.
Did you enjoy that?
Very much so. I want to go back, but because of my stroke I can't go back.
Yes.
And I used to climb up on ladders and change their light bulb, because the system says we don't change light bulb. And goes, so you want this lady who's 80 years to climb up there to change the lamp bulb? So all of those things, we take outings, very much like we do at Beggs. We entertain them, we educate them, and we support them, because the mind and the body works together. And isolation is a killer for any age, more so the elderly, because if they feel unwanted or ignored, the spirit goes slow, and that will kill them. So this is why I'm here. And I remember back in the days when these two people were here, it was very progressive.
Can you tell me something about that photo that you brought?
Yeah, this is one of our first centre managers with one of the assistants.
Where is this taken?
Here, right here.
In
This is
Elim
Beggs.
House.
Elim House. Well, I keep using the term Beggs. Let me just explain that. I know it as Beggs, and it's hard for me to get out and start to use Elim House. Beggs stands for Black Elderly Group Southwark,
Oh, okay.
and that's why I always say Beggs.
Yeah.
And I think due to politics or whatever, I changed the name to Elim House
Okay.
or Elim House.
Yeah.
So if I say Beggs, it's the same, it's Elim House. And so it's been here from the early 90s, worked with Cheryl, who
Sure.
was the centre manager,
Yeah.
and it was prosperous more so than now because the resources that we required to provide the services were there. And I know governments change, austerity, cutbacks, this and that. And there is a damaging effect because if we can't get funding to provide a service to the most vulnerable whom have lived their life in Southwark, paid taxes, it's disheartening to me. And this is why I'm still here, even though I'm not 100%.
Okay.
But I come down
Thank you.
and I get told off, we don't see you. Because sometimes you're at home, when you've had a stroke, you get tired, your body weak. And so you sleep a lot. And time you get up and to walk down here, it hurts because the muscles then hurt. So that's
And who's that in the photograph?
that's Richard, is one of the workers.
Okay.
I'm going around and around in
No,
circles.
thank you
I'm
so
passionate
much.
about
I can
community
hear that.
work
No,
because
I
you
can
see,
totally hear that. Thank you.
I am a community person. My grandmother taught me to help. You imitate the teachings of Jesus, love one another, help. Because if you don't do none of that, who are you? What's your life worth? So this is where Beggs is for me.
Okay.
It's a legacy which I think we need to keep going and do, because it's about connecting with our people to look after their well-being, their health, their spirituality.